This is a work of fiction. Any resemblance to real events or persons is purely coincidental. This story is purely fictional and does not promote or encourage any form of violence. This is a work of fiction. Any resemblance to real events or persons is purely coincidental. This story is purely fictional and does not promote or encourage any form of violence. I asked Dancer why the sons streamed my wife's death to the mines. Why not instead show the Lorids the wealth of the surface? That would sow anger. Because a rebellion now would be crushed in days, Dancer explained. We must take a different path. An empire cannot be destroyed from without till it is destroyed from within. Remember that. We're empire breakers, not terrorists. When Dancer told me what I am to do, I laughed. I do not know if I can do it. I am a speck. 1,000 cities span the face of Mars. Metal behemoths sail between the planets and fleets carrying weapons that can crack the mantle of a moon. On distant Luna, buildings rise 7 miles high. There, the sovereign consul, Octavia Olum, rules with her imperators and praetors. The Ash Lord who made the world of Rhea Cinders is her minion. She controls the 12 Olympic Knights, legions of peerless guard, and obsidians, as innumerable as the stars. And those obsidians are only the elite. The Grey Soldiers prowl the cities, ensuring order, ensuring obedience to the hierarchy. The Whites arbitrate their justice and push their philosophy. Pinks pleasure and serve in high-color homes. Silvers count and manipulate currency and logistics. Yellows study the medicines and sciences. Greens develop technology. Blues navigate the stars. Coppers run the bureaucracy. Every color has a purpose. Every color props up the golds. The HC shows me colors I did not know existed. It shows me fashion, ludicrous and seductive. There are biomodifications and flesh implants. Women with skin so smooth and polished, breasts so round, hair so glossed that they appear a different species from Io and all the women I've ever known. The men are freakishly muscular and tall. Their arms and chests bulge with artificial strength, and they flaunt their muscle like girls showing off new toys. I am a lambda hell diver of Lycos. But what is that compared with all this? Harmony is here. Time to go, Dancer says from the door. I want to fight, I tell him, as we ride the grav lift down with Harmony. They've doctored my sigils so that they are brighter to match the high reds. I wear the loose garb of a high red and carry a pack of street scrubbing equipment. There's dye in my hair and contacts in my eyes. Also, I look a brighter shade of red, less dirty. I don't want this mission. Worse, I can't do it. Who could? You said you would do anything that needed to be done, Dancer says. But this... The mission he has given me is madness, yet that's not why I'm frightened. My fear is that I will become something Io would not recognize. I'll become a demon from our October Nacht stories. Give me a scorcher or a bomb. Let someone else do this. We brought you out for this. Harmony sighs, and only this. It has been Ares' greatest goal since the sons were born. How many others have you brought out? How many others have tried what you're asking me to try? Harmony looks over at Dancer. He says nothing, so she answers impatiently on his behalf. 97 have failed the carving that we know of. Bloody damn, I curse. And what happened to them? They died, she says blandly. Or they asked for death. Maybe Naro should have let me hang. I try to laugh. Darrow, come here, come. He grabs my shoulder and pulls me in. Others may have failed, but you'll be different, Darrow. I feel it in my bones. My legs go shaky when I first look up at the night sky and the buildings stretching around me. I slip into vertigo. I feel like I'm falling, like the world is off its axis. Everything is too open, so much so that it seems as though the city should tumble into the sky. I look at my feet, look at the street, and try to imagine that I'm in the tunnel roads from the townships to the common. The streets of Yorkton, the city, are a strange place at night. Luminescent balls of light line the sidewalks and streets. HC videos run like liquid streams along parts of the avenue in this high-tech sector of the city, so most walk upon the moving pathways or ride in public transportation with their heads crooked down like cane handles. Garish lights make the night almost as bright as day. I see even more colors. This sector of the city is clean. Teams of red sanitation workers scour the streets. Its roads and walking paths stretch in perfect order. There's a faint ribbon of red where we are to walk, a narrow ribbon in a broad street. Our path does not move like the others. A copper woman walks along her wider path. Her favorite programs play wherever she walks, unless she strides beside a gold, in which case all the HCs go quiet. But most golds do not walk. They are permitted grav boots and coaches, as are any of the coppers, obsidians, greys, and silvers, with the proper license, though the licensed boots are horribly shoddy things. An advertisement for a blister cream appears on the ground in front of me. A woman of strangely slender proportions slinks out of a red lace robe. Suitably naked, she then applies the cream to a place on her body where no woman has ever before gotten a blister. I blush and look away in disgust, because I've only ever seen one woman naked. You'll want to forget your modesty, Harmony advises. It'll mark you worse than your color. It is disgusting, I say. It's advertising, darling. Harmony purrs condescendingly. She shares a chuckle with Dancer. An elderly gold soars overhead, older than any human I've ever seen. We lower our heads as she passes. Reds up here have to get paid, Dancer explains when we are alone. Not much, but they're given money and enough treats to make them dependent. What money they have, they spend on goods they're made to think they need. Same with all the drones, Harmony hisses. So they're not slaves, I say. Oh, they're slaves, Harmony says, enslaved by their suckling on the teats of those bastards. Dancer struggles to keep up, so I slow down as he speaks. Harmony makes an irritated noise. Goals structure everything to make their own lives easier. They have shows produced to entertain and placate the masses. They give monies and handouts to make generations dependent on the 7th day of each new Earth month. They create goods that grant us a semblance of liberty. If violence is the gold sport, manipulation is their art form. We pass into a low-colored district where there are no designated walking paths. The storefronts are lined with electronic green ribbons. Some stores peddle a month of alternate reality in an hour's time for a week's wages. Two small men with quick green eyes and bald heads, studded with metal spikes and tattooed with shifting digital codes, suggest for me a trip to some place called Osgiliath. Other stores offer banking services or biomodifications or simple personal hygiene products. They shout things I don't understand, speaking in numbers and acronyms. I have never seen such commotion. Brothels lined with pink ribbon make me blush, as do the women and men in the windows. Each has a flashing price tag, playfully hanging from a thread. It's a moving number that suits demand. A lusty girl calls to me as Dancer explains the idea of money. In Lycos, we traded only in goods and swill and barners and services. Some blocks of the city are reserved for the use of high colors. Access to these districts depends on badges of warrant. I cannot simply walk or ride into a gold or copper district. But a copper can always slum in a red district, frequenting a bar or brothel. Never the other way around. Even in the wild free-for-all that is the bazaar, a riotous place of commerce and noise and air, heavy with scents of bodies and food and automobile exhaust. We walked deep into the bazaar. I feel safer in the back alleys here than I did in the open avenues of the high-tech sectors. I do not yet like vast spaces, and seeing the stars above frightened me. The bazaar is darker, though lights still shine and people still bustle. The buildings seem to pinch together. 100 balconies form ribs in the alleyway's heights. Walkways crisscross above, and all around us, lights blink from devices. It is more humid here, dirty, and I see fewer tin pots patrolling. Dancer says there are places in the bazaar where even an obsidian should not go. In the densest places of man, humanity most easily breaks down, he says. It is strange being in a crowd where no one knows your face or cares for your purpose. In Lycos, I would have been jostled by men I'd grown up with, run across girls I'd chased and wrestled with as a child. Here, other colors slam into me and offer not even a faint apology. This is a city, and I do not like it. I feel alone. This is us, Dancer says, gesturing me into a dark doorway where an electronic flying dragon shimmers on the surface of the stone. A massive brown with a mod job for a nose stops us. We wait for the metal nose to snort and sniff. He's bigger than Dancer. Dye in his hair. He growls at me, taking a whiff of my hair. A roster, this one be. A scorcher peeks out from his belt. He's got a shiv behind his wrist. I can tell by the way his hand moves. Another thug joins him on the stoop. He's got jewelry processors onto his eyeballs, little red rubies that flicker when light catches them just right. I stare at the jewelry and the brown eyes. What's what with this one? You want to go? The thug spits. Keep eyeing me, and I'll take your liver to sell at market. Thinks I'm challenging him. I'm actually just curious about the rubies, but when he threatens me, I smile at him and give a little wink like I would in the mines. A knife flips into his hand. Rules are different up here. Boy, keep playing, dare you. Keep playing. Mickey is expecting us, Dancer tells the man. I watch Mod Job's friend as he tries to stare me down like I'm some sort of child. Mod Job smirks and leers at Dancer's leg and arm. Don't know a Mickey, cripple? He looks to his friend. You know a Mickey? No, ain't got no Mickey here. What a relief. Dancer sets a hand on the scorcher under his jacket. Since you don't know Mickey, you won't have to explain to Mickey why my generous friend couldn't reach him. He moves to his jacket so they can see a glyph etched on the butt of his gun, the helmet of Ares. When he sees the glyph, Modjob gulps and says, "Squab." Then they fall over each other to open the door. "Gug, gotta take your shooters." 3 others move toward us, scorchers half up. Harmony opens her vest and shows them a bomb strapped to her stomach. She rolls a blinking detonator over her nimble red fingers. Nah, we're good. Modjob swallows, nods. You're good. The interior of the building is dark. It is a darkness thick with smoke and throbbing lights, much like my mine. Music pulses. Glass cylinders stand as pillars amongst chairs and tables where men drink and smoke. Inside the glass, women dance. Some writhe in water, their strange webbed toes and sleek thighs moving to the music. Others gyrate to the thudding melody and environs of golden smoke or silver paint. More thugs guide us to a back table that seems made of iridescent water. A slim man reclines there with several creatures of the strangest sort. I thought them monsters at first, but the closer I look, the more confused I become. They are humans, but they've been made differently, carved differently. A pretty young girl, no older than EO, sits looking at me with emerald eyes. The wings of a white eagle sprout from the flesh of her back. She's like something torn from a fever dream, except she should have been left there. Others like her lounge in the smoke and strange lights. Mickey, the carver, is a scalpel of a man, with a crooked smile and black hair that hangs like a puddle of oil down one side of his head. A tattoo of an amethyst mask wreathed in smoke winds around his left hand. It is the sigil of a violet, the creatives, so it was always shifting. Other violet symbols stain his wrists. He's playing with a little electronic puzzle cube that has changing faces. His fingers are fast, thinner, and longer than they should be, and there are 12 of them. Fascinating. I've never seen an artist before, not even on the HC. They're as rare as whites. Ah, dancer, he sighs, without looking up from his cube. I could hear you from the drag in your step. He squints at the cube in his hands. And Harmony, I could smell you from the door, my darling. Terrible bomb, by the by. Next time you need real sneaky craftsmanship, look Mickey up, yes? Mick, Dancer says, and seats himself at the table of dream things. I can tell Harmony is growing a bit dizzy from the smoke. I'm used to breathing worse stuff. Now, Harmony, my love, Mickey purrs. Have you given up on this cripple yet? Come to join my family, perhaps? Yes? Get yourself a pair of wings, claws on your hands, a tail, horns. You'd look fierce in horns, especially wrapped in my silken bedsheets. Carve yourself a soul, and you might get a shot. Harmony sneers. Ah, if it takes being a red to have a soul, on this I shall pass. Down to business. They're so abrupt, my darling. Conversation should be considered an art form, or like a grand dinner, each course in its own time. His fingers fly over the cube. He's matching them based on their electronic frequency, but he's a bit too slow to match them before they change. He still hasn't looked up. We have a proposition for you, Mickey, Dancer says impatiently. He glances down at the cube. Mickey's smile is long and crooked. He does not look up. Dancer repeats himself. Straight to the main course then, eh, cripple? Well, propose away. Dancer swats the cube out of Mickey's hands. The table goes silent. The thugs bristle behind us and the music continues to pound. My heart is steady, and I eye the scorcher on the thigh of the nearest thug. Slowly, Mickey looks up and cuts the tension with a crooked smile. What's what, my friend? Dancer nods to Harmony, and she slips a small box over to Mickey. A present? You shouldn't have. Mickey examines the box. Cheap stuff. Such a tasteless color. Red. Then he slides the box open and gasps in horror. He recoils from the table, slamming the box shut. You stupid, sodden bastards. What is this? You know what they are. Mickey leans forward and his voice becomes one lone hiss. You brought them here? How did you get them? Are you insane? Mickey glances around at his followers, who peer down at the box, wondering what has so unbalanced their master. Ensign, we're bloody damn manic, Dancer smiles, and we need them attached soon. Attached? Mickey starts laughing. To him. Dancer points at me. Leave, Mickey screams at his entourage. Leave, you simpering, sycophantic miscreants. I'm talking to you, you freaks. Get out. When his entourage has scurried away, He opens the box and dumps the contents onto the table. 2 golden wings, the sigils of a gold, clatter onto the table. Dancer sits. We want you to make our boy here into a gold. Chapter 11. Mad. You're mad?
Thank you. Harmony smiles. I assume you misspoke.
Pray repeat yourself, Mickey says to Dancer. Ares will pay you more money than you've ever seen if you can successfully attach those to my young friend here. Impossible, Mickey declares. He looks over to me, measuring me for the first time. He's unimpressed despite my height. I don't blame him. Once I thought myself a handsome man of the clans, strong, muscular. Up here I am pale and wiry, young and scarred. He spits onto the table. Impossible. Harmony shrugs. It's been done before. By whom? I ask. He turns his head. No, you cannot bait me. Someone talented, Harmony taunts. Impossible! Mickey leans even farther forward. His thin face has not a single pore. There's DNA matching him with the wings. Cerebral extraction. Did you know they have subdermal markings in their skulls? Of course you didn't. Data chips attached to their frontal cortexes to substantiate their caste. Then there's synapse linkage, molecular bonding, tracking devices, the quality control board. Then there's the trauma and the associative reasoning. Say we make his body perfect. There's still one problem. We cannot make him smarter. One cannot make a mouse a lion. He can think like a lion, Dancer says plainly. Oh, he can think like a lion. Mickey snickers, and Ares wants it done. Dancer's voice is cold. Ares, Ares, Ares. It doesn't matter what Ares wants, you baboon. Never mind the science. His physical and mental dexterity is probably daft as a damn bowl cleaner's, and his tangibles won't match. He's not their species. He's a roster. I'm a helldiver of Lycos, I say. Mickey raises his eyebrows. Oh ho, a helldiver? Clear the halls. A helldiver, you say? He mocks me, but he squints suddenly as if he's seen me before. My whipping was televised. Many know my face. Bugger me blind, he mutters. You recognize my face? I confirm. He pulls up the viral video and watches it, looking back and forth between it and me. Aren't you dead with that girlfriend of yours? Wife, I snap. Mickey's jaw muscles flicker under his skin as he ignores me. You're making a savior, he accuses, looking over at Dancer. Dancer, you bastard. You're making a messiah for your gory damn cause. I never looked at it that way. My skin prickles uneasily. Yes, is Dancer's answer. If I make him a gold, what will you do with him? He will apply to the Institute. He will be accepted. There he will excel well enough to reach the ranks of the peerless Scarred. As a Scarred, he can train to be a praetor, a legate, a politico, a questor, anything. He will advance to a prime position, the primer the better. From there, he will be in a position to do as Ares requires for the cause. Mother of God, Mickey murmurs. He stares at Harmony, then at Dancer. You want him to be a bona fide peerless Scarred, not a bronzy? A bronze is a faded gold of the same class, but looked down on for inferior appearance, lineage, and capabilities. Not a bronze, Dancer confirms, or a pixie. We don't want him to go to nightclubs and eat caviar like the rest of those worthless golds. We want him to command fleets. Fleets? You lot are mad, mad. Mickey's violet eyes settle on mine after a long moment. My boy, they are murdering you. You are not a gold. You cannot do what a gold can do. They are killers, born to dominate us. Have you ever met one of the Alright? Sure, they may look all pretty and peaceful now, but do you know what happened in the conquering? They are monsters. He shakes his head and laughs wickedly. The Institute is not a school. It's a culling ground, where the golds go to hack at one another till the strongest in mind and body is found. You will die. Mickey's cube lies at the opposite end of the table. I walk over to it without saying a word. I don't know how it works, but I know the puzzles of the earth. My boy, what are you doing? Mickey sighs in pity. That is not a toy. Have you ever been in a mine? I ask him. Ever used your fingers to dig through a fault line at a 12-degree angle while doing the math to accommodate 80% rotation power and 55% thrust so you don't set off a gas pocket reaction while sitting in your own piss and sweat and worrying about pit vipers that want to bury into your gut to lay their eggs? This is... His voice fades as he sees how the claw drill taught my fingers to move, how the grace with which my uncle taught me to dance is converted into my hands. I hum as I work. It takes a moment, maybe a minute or 3, but I learn the puzzle and then solve it easily according to frequency. There seems another level to it, mathematical riddles. I don't know the math, but I know the pattern. I solve it, and 4 more puzzles. Then it changes once more in my hands, becoming a circle. Mickey's eyes widen. I toss the device back to him. He stares at my hands while working his own 12 fingers. Impossible, he murmurs. Evolution, Harmony replies. Dancer smiles. We will need to discuss price. Chapter 12. The Carving. My life becomes agony. My sigils are attached to the metacarpus in each hand. Mickey removes the old red sigils and cultivates new skin and bone over the wounds. Then he sets to installing a stolen subdermal data chip into my frontal lobe. I am told the trauma killed me, and they had to restart my heart. I've died twice then. They say I was in a coma for 2 weeks. But to me, it was nothing but a dream. I was in the veil with Io. She kissed me on the forehead, and then I woke and felt the stitches and the pain. I lie in bed as Mickey tests me. He has me move marbles from one container into other containers coded by colors. I do this for what seems a lifetime. We are forming synapses, my darling. He tests me with word puzzles and tries to make me read, but I don't know how to read. You'll have to learn that for the Institute, he giggles. My dreams are cruel things to wake from. In them, Io comforts me, but when I wake, she is nothing but a fleeting memory. I am hollow as I lie in Mickey's makeshift medical cell. An ion germ killer buzzes next to my bed. Everything is white, yet I can hear the thumping of music from his club. His girls change my diapers and empty my piss bags. A girl who never speaks bathes me 3 times a day. Her arms are willowy, her face soft and sad, as when I first saw her sitting with Mickey at his liquid table. The wings that curl outward from her back are bound with a crimson ribbon. She never meets my eyes. Mickey continues to make me develop synapse connections as he repairs the scar tissue from my neural surgery. He's all laughs and smiles and lingering touches on my forehead as he calls me his darling. I feel like one of his girls, one of the angels sculpted for his own pleasure. But we must not be satisfied only with the brain, he says. There is much work to be done on this ruster body of yours if we want to make you into an iron gold. And that is? The golden ancestors, they called them the iron golds. They were hard men. They stood lean and fierce upon their battle cruisers as they laid waste to the armies and republic fleets of Earth. What creatures they were. His eyes go distant. It took generations of eugenics and biological tampering to make them. Forced Darwinism. He's quiet for a moment, and it seems an anger builds in him. They say carvers will never duplicate the beauty of the golden man. The Board of Quality Control taunts us. Personally, I do not want to make you a man. Men are so very frail. Men break. Men die. No, I've always wished to make a god. He smiles mischievously as he does some sketches on a digital pad. He spins it around and shows me the killer I will become. So why not carve you to be the god of war? Mickey replaces the skin of my back and the skin of my hands, where EO applied bandages to my burns. This, he says, is not to be my real skin. It is only a homogeneous base layer. Your skeleton is weak because Mars's gravity is 0.3 of Earth's, my delicate little bird. Also, you have a diet deficient in calcium. Gold standard bone density is 5 times stronger than naturally occurring bone density on Earth, so we will have to make your skeleton 6 times stronger. You must be of iron if you want to last the Institute. This'll be fun for me, not you. Mickey carves me again. The agony is beyond language or comprehension. Someone has to dot God's eyes. The next day, he reinforces the bones of my arms. Then he does my ribs, my spine, my shoulders, my feet, my pelvis, and my face. He also alters the tensile qualities of my tendons and muscle tissue. Mercifully, he does not let me wake from this last surgery for several weeks. When I do wake, I see his girls around me, applying new cultures of flesh and kneading my muscles with their thumbs. Slowly, my skin begins to heal. I am a patchwork of flesh quilt. They begin feeding me synthesized protein, creatine, and growth hormone to promote muscle growth and tendon regeneration. My body trembles in the night and itches as I sweat through new, smaller pores. I cannot use pain medication strong enough to numb the agony, because the altered nerves must learn to function with the new tissue and my altered brain. Mickey sits beside me on my worst nights, telling me stories. It's only then that I like him. Only then that I think he is not some monster cooked up by this perverted society. My profession is to create, little bird, he says one night as we sit together in the darkness. Light from the machines bathes his face in queer shadows. When I was young, I lived in a place they called the Grove. It was what you might think of as a circus culture. We had spectacles every night, celebrations of color and sound and dance. Sounds terrible, I mutter sarcastically. Just like the mines. He smiles softly, and his eyes find that distant place. I suppose it may seem a plush life to you, yet there was a madness to the Grove. They made us take pills, pills that could make us fly between the planets on wings of dust to visit the fairy kings of Jupiter and the deep mermaids of Europa. My mind always separate from body, no peace to it, no end to the madness. He clapped his hands then, and now I carve the things I saw in my fever dreams, just as they always wished. I dreamed of you, I think. In the end, I suppose they'll wish I hadn't dreamed at all. Was it a good dream? I ask. What? The one with me? No, it was a nightmare. One of a man from hell, lover of fire. He is silent for a spell. Why is it so horrible? I ask him. Life. All this. Why do they need to make us do this? Why do they treat us like we're their slaves? Power. Power isn't real. It's just a word. Mickey ponders silently. Then he shrugs his thin shoulders. Mankind was always enslaved, they'll say. Freedom enslaves us to lust, to greed. Take freedom away, and they give me a life of dreaming. They gave you a life of sacrifice, family, community, and society is stable. There's no famine, no genocide, no great wars, and when the golds fight, they obey rules. They are noble about it when the great houses bicker. Noble? They lied to me, said I was a pioneer. And would you have been happier if you knew you were a slave? Mickey asks. No, none of the billion Laurids beneath Mars would be happy if they knew what the High-Reds knew, that they are slaves. So is it not better to lie? It is better to not make slaves. When I am ready, he inserts a force generator into my sleeping tube to simulate increased gravity on my frame. I've never known pain like this. My body aches. My bones and skin and muscles scream against the pressure and the change, till I'm on medication that turns the scream into a dull, forever moan. I sleep for days. I dream of home and family. Every night I wake after seeing Ao hang yet again. She sways across my mind. I miss her warmth in bed beside me, even though they give me an HC immersion mask for distraction. Gradually, I'm weaned from the pain medication. My muscles still aren't used to the density of my bones, so my existence becomes a melodic ache. They begin to feed me real food. Mickey sits on the edge of my cot, stroking my hair well into the nights. I don't care that his fingers feel like spider legs. I don't care that he thinks I am some piece of art, his art. He gives me something called a hamburger. I love it. Red meats and thick creams and breads and fruits and vegetables make my diet. I have never eaten so well. You need the calories, Mickey coos. You have been so strong for me. Eat well. You deserve this food. How am I doing? I ask. Oh, the hard parts are over, my darling. You are a brilliant boy, you know. They have shown me the tapes from the other procedures where other carvers tried this. Oh, how clumsy the other carvers were, how weak the other subjects. But you are strong, and I am brilliant. He taps my chest. Your heart is like that of a stallion's. I've never glimpsed one like it before. You were bitten by a pit viper when you were young, I assume? I was, yes. I thought so. Your heart had to adjust to counteract the effects of the poison. My uncle sucked most of the poison out when I was bitten, I say. No. Mickey laughs. That's a myth. The poison cannot be sucked out. It still runs through your veins, forcing your heart to be strong if you want to continue to live. You are something special, just like me. Then I will not die in here? I manage. Mickey laughs. No, we are beyond that now. There will be pain, but we are past the threat of mortality. Soon we will have made man into God, red into gold. Even your wife would not recognize you. That is all I've ever feared. When they take my eyes and give me ones of gold, I feel dead inside. It's a simple matter of reconnecting the optic nerve to the donor's eyes, Mickey says. A simple thing he's done a dozen times for cosmetic purposes. The hard part was the frontal lobe surgery, he says. I disagree. There is the pain, yes. But with the new eyes, I see things I once could not. Elements are clearer, sharper, and more painful to bear. I hate this process. All it is a confirmation of the superiority of the gulls. It takes all this to make me their physical equal. No wonder we serve them. It's not mine. None of this is mine. My skin is too soft, too lustrous, too faultless. I don't know my body without scars. I don't know the back of my own hands. Io would not know me. Mickey takes my hair next. Everything has changed. It is weeks of physical therapy. Walking slowly around the room with Evie, the winged girl. I'm left to my own thoughts. Neither one of us cares much to speak. She has her demons, and I have mine, so we are quiet and calm. Except when Mickey comes to coo about what pretty children we would make together. One day, Mickey even brings an antique zither for me, with a soundboard of wood instead of plastic. It is the kindest thing he's ever done. I do not sing, but I play the solemn songs of Lycos, the traditional ones of my clan, that no one beyond the mine will ever have heard. He and Evie sit with me sometimes, and though I think Mickey a wretched sort of creature, I feel as though he understands the music, its beauty, its importance. And afterward, he says nothing. I like him then, too, at peace. Well, you're a bit sterner than I first measured, Harmony says to me one morning as I wake. Where have you been? I ask, opening my eyes. Finding donors. She flinches as she sees my irises. The world does not stop because you are here, she says. We had work to do. Mickey says you can walk? I'm growing stronger. Not strong enough, she surmises, looking me over. You look like a baby giraffe. I'll fix that. Harmony takes me, beneath Mickey's club, to a grungy gymnasium lit by sulphurous bulbs. I like the feel of the cold stone on my bare feet. My balance has returned, and it's a good thing, because Harmony does not offer me her arm. Instead, she waves me to the center of the dark gymnasium. We bought these for you, Harmony says. She points to two devices in the center of the dark space. The contraptions are silver and remind me of the suits knights wore in past centuries. The armor hangs suspended between two metal wires. They are concentration machines. I slide my body into the machine. Dry gel hugs my feet, my legs, my torso and arms and neck, till only my head is free. The machine is built to resist my movements, yet it responds even to the tiniest stimuli. The idea of building muscle is to exercise it, which is nothing more than using the muscle intensely enough to create microscopic tears in the tissue fiber. This is the pain one feels in the days after an intense workout. Torn tissue, not lactic acid. When the muscle repairs the tears, it builds on itself. This is the process the concentration machine is built to facilitate. It is the devil's own invention. Harmony slides the device's faceplate over my eyes. My body is still in the gym, but I see myself moving across the rugged landscape of Mars. I'm running, pumping my legs against the concentration machine's resistance, which increases according to Harmony's mood or the location of the simulation. Sometimes I venture to the jungles of Earth, where I race panthers through the underbrush, or I take to the pocked surface of Luna before it was populated. But always, I return home to Mars to run across its red soil and jump over its violent ravines. Harmony sometimes accompanies me in the other machine, so I have someone to race. She pushes me hard, and sometimes I wonder if she's trying to break me. I don't let her. If you're not vomiting during a workout, you're not trying, she says. The days are excruciating. My body is a misery of aches from the arches of my feet to the back of my neck. Mickey's pinks massage me every day. There's no better pleasure in the world. But 3 days after beginning my training with Harmony, I wake up vomiting in my bed. I shiver and shake and hear cursing. There's a science to this, you wicked little witch, Mickey is shouting. He will be a work of art, but none of you pour water on the paint before it's set. Do not ruin him. He must be perfect, Harmony says. Dancer, if he is weakened in any way, the other children will butcher him like a fresh-made drill boy. You are butchering him, Mickey whines. You are ruining him. His body cannot handle the muscle breakdown. He has not objected to the treatment, Harmony reminds him. Because he does not know he can object, Mickey says. Dancer, She has no understanding of the biomechanics involved in this. Do not let her ruin my boy." "He is not your boy," Harmony sneers. Mickey's voice becomes softer. "Dancer, Darrow is like a stallion, one of the old stallions of Earth. Beautiful beasts that will run as hard as you push them. They will run and run and run until they don't, until their hearts explode." There's silence for a moment, then Dancer's voice. "Ares once told me that it is the hottest fire that forms the sternest steel. Keep pushing the boy." I resent two of my teachers after overhearing their words. Mickey, for thinking me weak. Dancer, for thinking me his tool. Only Harmony doesn't anger me. Her voice, her eyes seethe with an anger I feel in my own soul. She may have Dancer now, but she lost a someone. The unscarred part of her face tells me that. She's no schemer like Dancer or his master, Ares. She's like me, brimming with a rage that makes all else so inconsequential. That night I cry. Over the next days, they feed me drugs to expedite the protein synthesis and muscle regeneration. After my muscle tissue has recovered from the initial trauma, they train me harder than before. Even Mickey, though his eyes are underlined with dark rings and his thin face is sallow. He does not object. He has grown distant these last weeks, no longer telling me stories, as though he fears what he has created now that I'm taking fuller shape. Harmony and I speak very little to one another, but there is a subtle shift in our relationship, some sort of primal understanding that we are the same sort of creature. But as my body grows stronger, Harmony can no longer keep up, even though she's a hardened woman of the mines. That is only after 2 weeks. The distance between our capabilities continues to grow. After another month, she is like a child to me. Even then, I do not plateau. My body begins to change. I thicken. My muscles become strong and corded in the concentration machine, which I now supplement with weight workouts in high grav. Gradually, strength builds. My shoulders grow broader, rounded. I see tendons emerge in my forearms. A tense mass of hard muscles bind my torso like armor. Even my hands, which were always stronger than the rest of me, grow more powerful in the concentration machine. With a simple squeeze, I can pulverize rock. Mickey jumped up and down when he saw that. No one shakes my hand any longer. I sleep in high grav, so that when I move about on Mars, I feel fast, quick, more agile than ever before. My fast twitch fibers form. My hands move like lightning. And when they hit the gymnasium's human-shaped punching bag, it leaps like it's been struck by a scorcher. I can punch through it now. My body is becoming that of a gold, one of the prime stock, not a pixie, not a bronze. This is the body of the race that conquered the solar system. My hands are freaks. They're smooth, tanned, and dexterous, as any gold's should be. But there is a power in them, out of proportion with the rest of me. If I am a blade, they are my edge. My body is not all that changes. Before I sleep, I drink a tonic laden with processing enhancers and speed listen to The Colors, The Iliad, Ulysses, Metamorphosis, the Theban plays, the Draconic labels, Anabasis, and restricted works, like The Count of Monte Cristo, Lord of the Flies, Lady Castley's Penance, 1984, and The Great Gatsby. I wake, knowing 3,000 years of literature and legal code and history. My last day at Mickey's comes 2 months after my last surgery. Harmony smiles with me after our workout as she drops me off in my room. Music thuds in the background. Mickey's dancers are going full tilt tonight. I'll get you your clothing, Daryl. Dancer and I want to have dinner with you to celebrate. Evie will clean you up. She leaves me alone with Evie. Today, as always, her face is as quiet as the snow I've seen on the HC. I watch her in the mirror as she cuts my hair. The room is dark, but for the light over the mirror, it shines from above, so she looks like an angel, innocent and pure. But she is not innocent, not pure. She's a pink. They breed them for pleasure, for the curves of their breasts and hips, for the tautness of their stomachs, and the plump folds of their lips. Yet, she is a girl, and her spark has not yet gone out. I remember the last time I failed to protect one like her. And me? It's hard to look at myself in the mirror. I'm what I know the devil to be. I am arrogance and cruelty, the sort of man who killed my wife. I am gold, and I am as cold as it. My eyes shine like ingots. My skin is soft and rich. My bones are stronger. I feel the density in my lean torso. When Evie is done cutting the golden hair, she stands back and stares at me. I can feel her fear, and I suffer it in myself. I am no longer a human. Physically, I've become something more. "You're beautiful," Evie says quietly, touching my golden sigils. They're much smaller than her feather wings. The circle is set in the center of each hand's backside. Wings swoop back along the flesh, curving like scythes up the sides of my wrist bones. I look at Evie's white wings and know how ugly she must think them to be on her back, how she must hate them. I want to say something kind to her. I want to make her smile if she can. I would tell her that she is beautiful, but she's lived a life of men saying that for some gain or another. She wouldn't believe a boy like me, and I don't believe her words to me. Io was beautiful. I still remember the flush of blood in her cheeks as she danced. She had all the raw colors of life, the crude beauty of nature. I am the human concept of beauty. Gold made soft and supple into man's form. Evie kisses the top of my head before darting away and leaving me alone to watch the HC in the mirror's reflection. I did not notice her slip a feather from her wings into my breast pocket. I'm tired of watching the HC. I know their history now, and I'm learning more every day. But I'm tired of being inside, tired of listening to Mickey's club thump its music and smelling the minty leaves he smokes, tired of seeing the girls he brings into his family only to sell away when someone bids high enough, tired of seeing all the full eyes go hollow. This is not Lycos. There is no love, no family or trust. This place is sick. "My boy, you look fit to captain a fleet of torch ships," Mickey says from the door. He slides in, smelling like his burners. His spindly fingers take Evie's feather from my breast pocket and roll it back and forth over his knuckles. He taps the feather to each of my golden sigils. Wings are my favorite. Aren't they yours? They go to mankind's better aspirations. He comes up behind me as I sit staring into the mirror. His hands go to my shoulders and he speaks down at my head, resting his chin upon it, as though I am his property. It's easy to see he thinks I am. My left hand goes to the sigil on my right, lingering there. "I told you were brilliant. Now it's your time to fly." "You give the girls wings, but you don't let them fly, do you?" I ask. "It's impossible for them to fly. They are simpler things than you, and I can't afford to buy a license to have grav boots. So they dance for me," Mickey explains. "But you'll fly, won't you, my brilliant boy?" I stare at him, but say nothing. His lips slice into a smile because I unnerve him. I always have. "You're frightened of me," I tell him. He laughs. "Am I? Oh, ho, ho, ho. Am I now, my boy?" "Yes, you're used to knowing what's what. You think like the rest of them. I nod to the HC's reflection.
Things are set in stone.
Things are well ordered. Red's at the bottom, everyone else standing on our backs. Now you're looking at me, and you're realizing that we don't bloody damn like it down there. Red is rising, Mickey. Oh, you've got far to go. I reach up and grab his wrists so that he cannot move. He stares at me in the mirror's reflection, struggling against my hold. Nothing is stronger than a helldiver's grip. I smile into the mirror, locking my golden eyes with his violet ones. He smells like fear, primal terror, like a mouse cornered by a lion. Be kind to Evie, Mickey. Don't make her dance. Give her a plush life, or I'll come back to pull your hands off your body. Chapter 13. Bad Things. Mateo is a tall wisp of a pink with long limbs and a lean, beautiful face. He is a slave, or was a slave for carnal pleasures, yet he walks like a water lord. Beauty in his step, manners and grace in the wave of his hand. He has a penchant for wearing gloves and sniffing at even the smallest bit of dirt. Body maintenance has been his life's purpose, so he doesn't find it strange when he helps me apply a hair follicle killer to my arms, legs, torso, and privates. But I do. When we're done, we're both cursing, me from the sting, him from the punch I threw at his shoulder. I accidentally dislocated it just by punching it. I still don't know my own strength, and they do make their pinks fragile. If he is the rose, I am the thorns. Bald as a toddler, you frenetic little baby. Mateo sighs, as properly as one can say such a thing, just as the newest lunar fashion requires. Now, with a bit of eyebrow sculpting, oh, how your brows are like fungus-nibbling caterpillars, and nose hair eradication, cuticle readjustment, teeth whitening on those slick new chompers, which, if I may say, are yellow as mustard dappled with dandelions. Tell me, have you ever brushed your new teeth? And blackhead removal, which will be like probing for helium-3, toner adjustment and melatonin injections, and you'll be prim and rose properish. I snort at the foolishness of it all. I already look like a gold. You look like a bronze, a fool's gold, one of the low-bred bastards who look more khaki than gold. You must be perfect. You're a bloody damn hard lark, Mateo. He smacks me. Mind yourself. A gold would rather die than use that slithering mine slang, gory damn, or gory and slag instead of squab. Every time you say bloody or bloody damn, I will smack not your gob, but your mouth. And if you say squab or gob, I will kick you in the scrotum, which I do know my way around, as I will do if you do not get rid of that horrible accent. You sound like you were born in a gory damn dumpster. He frowns and sets his hands on his narrow hips. And then we will have to teach you manners and culture. Culture, Goodman. I have manners. By the Maker, we are so going to have to make you forswear that brogue as well as the cursing. He pokes me as he lists out my flaws. Might try adopting some manners of your own, butt boy. I growl. He pulls off one of my gloves and slaps me across the face, and takes a bottle in hand and holds it to my throat. I laugh. You'll have to get your helldiver reflexes back soon to go with that gawky new body. I eye the bottle, going to poke me to death. It is a Pauline sword, Goodman, a razor, in other words. One moment it is soft as hair, but with an organic impulse it turns harder than diamond. It is the only thing that will cut through a pulse shield. One moment a whip, the next moment a perfect sword. It is the weapon of a gentleman, a gold. For any other color to carry it is death. It's a bottle, you daft. He jams me in the throat so that I gag. And it was your manners that forced me to draw my razor and challenge you, thereby precipitously ending your impudent life. You may have fought with fists for honor in that hovel you called home. You were a bug then, an ant. An Oread fights with a blade at the slightest provocation. They have honor the likes of which you know nothing about. Your honor was personal. Theirs is personal, familial, and planetary. That is all. They fight for higher stakes, and they do not forgive when the bloodletting is done. Least of all the peerless scarred. Manners, Goodman, manners will protect you until you can protect yourself from my shampoo bottle. Mateo, I say, rubbing my throat. Yes, he sighs. What is shampoo? Another stint in Mickey's carving room might have been preferable to Mateo's tutelage. At least Mickey was afraid of me. The next morning, Dancer tries to rename me. You will be the son of a relatively unknown family from the far asteroid clusters. Soon the family will be dead in a shipping accident. You will be the lone survivor and the only heir to their debts and poor status. His name, your name, will be Caius au Andromedus. Slag that, I reply. I will be Darrow, or I will be nothing. He scratches his head. Darrow is an odd name. You have made me give up the hair father gave me, the eyes mother left me, the color I was born to, so I will keep the name they granted me, and you can make it work. I liked it better when you didn't act like a gold. Dancer grumbles. Now the key to dining like an Oread is to eat slowly, Mateo says, as we sit together at a table in the penthouse where Dancer first showed me the world. You will find yourself subjected to many Trimalchian feasts. On such occasions there will be 7 courses: appetizer, soup, fish, meat, salad, dessert, and libations. He gestures to a small tray laden with silverware and explains the various methods for eating with each. Then he tells me, if you must urinate or defecate during the meal, you hold it in. Controlling one's bodily functions is expected of an Oread. So these namby-pamby gold brows aren't allowed to shit? And when they do, I wonder, does it come out gold? Mateo slaps my cheek with his glove. If you're so eager to see red again, let your tongue slip in their presence, Goodman, and they'll be happy to remind you what color all men bleed. Manners and control. You have neither. He shakes his head. Now tell me what this fork is used for. I want to tell him it's used for picking his arse, but I sigh and give him the correct answer. Fish, but only if the bones are still in the dish. And how much of this fish are you to eat? All of it, I guess. No, he cries. Were you even listening? His small hands clutch his hair and he takes a deep breath. Must I remind you there are bronzes, there are golds, and there are pixies. He leaves the rest for me to finish. Pixies have no self-control, I remember aloud. They take in all the treats of power but do piss all to merit them. They are born and they chase pleasure, right-o? Prime, not right-o. Now what is expected of a gold, of a peerless scarred? Perfection. Which means, my voice is cold as I mimic a gold's accent. It means control, Goodman, self-control. I am permitted to indulge in vices so long as I never permit them to usurp control. If there is a key to understanding Oriates, it is found in understanding control in all its forms. Eat the fish. Leave 20% to indicate its deliciousness did not overpower my resolve to make slaves of my taste buds. So you were listening after all. Dancer finds me the next day as I practice my Oriate accent in the penthouse's hollow mirror. I can see a 3-dimensional depiction of my head in front of me. The teeth move strangely, catching my tongue as I try to roll my words. But I'm still becoming used to my body, even months after the last of the surgeries. My teeth are larger than I initially thought them. It also doesn't help that the gold brows speak as though they've had golden shovels stuck up their bloody damn stink holes. So I find it easier to speak like one, if I see that I am one. The arrogance comes easier. Soften your R's, Dancer tells me. He sits attentively as I read from a datapad. Pretend as though there is an H in front of each one. His burner reminds me of home. And I remember how Arch-Governor Augustus seemed in Lycos. I remember the man's serenity, his patient condescension, his smirk. Elongate the L's. Is that all the strength you have? I say into the mirror. Perfect, Dancer praises with a humorous shiver. He claps his good hand on his knee. Soon I'll be dreaming like I'm a bloody damn gold brow too, I say in disgust. You shouldn't say bloody damn, say gory or gory damn instead. I glare at him. If I saw myself on the street, I would hate me. I would want to take a sling blade and carve me from pucker to stinker, and then burn the remains. Io would puke to look at me. You're young still, Dancer laughs. God, I sometimes forget how young. He takes a flask out of his boot and downs some before tossing it to me. I laugh. Last time I drank, Uncle Neral drugged me. I take a drink. Maybe you've forgotten what the mines are like. I'm not young. Dancer frowns. I didn't mean to insult, Darrow. It's just, you understand what you're to do. You understand why you're to do it. But you still lose perspective and judge yourself. Right now, you probably get sick looking at your golden self, righto? Righto there. I drink deep from the flask. But you're only playing a part, Darrow. He twitches his finger, and a blade slips from the ring on his finger. My reflexes are back and quick enough that I might have shoved it up into his throat if I thought he meant me harm. But I let him swipe the blade across my index finger. Blood wells out. Red blood. Just in case you need reminding what you really are. Smells like home, I say, sucking on the finger. Mom used to make blood soup out of the pit vipers, not half bad to the truth of it. You dip flax bread in it and sprinkle it in okra blossom. How'd you know? I ask. My mom did the same. Dancer laughs. We'd have it at dance tide, or before the Laurel Tide when they'd announce the winner. Always squab and gamma. Here's to gamma, I laugh, and finish another swig. Dancer watches me. The smile eventually slips from his face and his eyes grow cold. Mateo's to teach you to dance tomorrow. Thought you'd be the one doing that, I say. He thumps his bad leg. Been a while since I've done that. Best dancer in Oikos. I could move like a deep tunnel draft. All our best dancers were hell divers. I was one for several years, you know. I figured. Did you now? I gesture to his scars. Only a hell diver would be bit so many times without drill boys around to help pull the vipers off. Been bitten too. Got a bigger heart for it, at least. He nods, and his eyes go distant. Fell into a nest when fixing to repair a nodule on the claw drill. They were up in one of the ducts, and I didn't see them. They were the dangerous kind. I see where he's going with this. They were babies, I say. He nods. They have less venom, much less than their parents. So they weren't burrowers bent on laying eggs inside of me. But when they bit, they used all the evil in them. Fortunately, we had antivenom with us, traded some gammas for it. In Lycos, we had no antivenom. He leans toward me. We're tossing you into a nest of baby vipers, Darrow. Mark that. Admissions testing is 3 months from now. I will be tutoring you in conjunction with your lessons from Mateo. But if you do not quit judging yourself, if you continue to hate your guys, then you will fail the test. Or worse, you'll pass it and then slip up and be found out while at the institute, and everything will be squabbed. I shift in my seat. For once there's another fear in me. Not of becoming something EO would not recognize, but a more primal fear, a mortal fear of my enemies. What would they be like? I already see their sneers, their contempt. Doesn't matter if they find me out. I clap Dancer's knee. They've taken what they can from me already. That is why I am a weapon you can use. Wrong, Dancer snaps. You're of use because you are more than a weapon. When your wife died, she didn't just give you a vendetta. She gave you her dream. You're its keeper, its maker. So don't be spitting anger and hate. You're not fighting against them, no matter what Harmony says. You're fighting for EO's dream, for your family that is still alive, your people. Is that Ares's opinion? I mean, is it yours? I'm not Ares, Dancer repeats. I don't believe him. I've seen the way his men look at him, how even Harmony pays him deference. Look into yourself, Darrow, and you'll realize that you are a good man who will have to do bad things. D. My hands are unscarred and feel strange while I clench them till the knuckles turn that familiar shade of white. See, that's what I don't get. If I'm a good man, then why do I want to do bad things? Chapter 14. Andromedas. Matteo cannot teach me to dance. He shows me what each of the 5 form dances of the Orient looks like, and we are through. More emphasis is put on your partner in Gold's dances than the dances my uncle taught me. But the movements are similar. I perform all 5 with greater skill than he can manage. To show off, I blindfold myself and perform each dance again in succession without music, by memory. Uncle Nero taught me to dance, and with 1,000 nights of filling time with nothing but dance and song, I'm masterful in recording the motions of my body, even this new body. It can do things my old one could not. The muscle fibers contract differently. The tendons stretch farther. The nerves fire faster. There's a sweet burn in the muscles as I flow through the movements. One dance, the Palamedes, has a nostalgic feel. Matteo has me hold a baton as I move about in swirling steps, baton arm outstretched as though fighting with a razor. Even as my body moves, I hear the echoes of the past. I feel the vibrations of the mine, the scent of my clan. I have seen this dance before, and I perform it better than all the others. It is a dance my body is made for, one so very similar to the illegal reaping dance. When I finish, Matteo is angry. Is this some sort of game? He snarls. What do you mean? He glares at me and taps his foot. You have never been beyond the mines. You know that answer, I reply. You have never fought with a sword or shield? Yes, I have. I've also captained star cruisers and dined with praetors. I laugh and ask what this is about. This is no game, Darrow. Did I say it was? I'm confused. What did I do to provoke him? I make the mistake in laughing to relieve the tension. You laugh. Boy, this is the society with which you tangle. And you laugh. They're not some distant idea. They are cold reality. If they find out who you are, they will not hang you. His face looks lost as he says it, as though he knows only too well. I know this. He ignores me. The Obsidians will catch you and give you to the Whites, and they will take you to their dark cells, and they will torture you. They will pull out your eyes and cut away anything that makes you a man. They have more sophisticated methods, but I wager information won't be their only aim. They have chemicals for that if they want. Soon after you tell them everything, they will kill me. Harmony, Dancer, and they will kill your family with flesh peelers and stomp on the heads of your nieces and nephews. These are the things they don't put on the HC. These are the consequences when the rulers of planets are your enemies. Planets, boy. I feel a chill creep into my bones. I know these things. Why does he keep hammering me with them? I'm already frightened. I don't want to be, but I am. My task is swallowing me whole. So I ask you again, are you who Dancer says you are? I pause. Ah. I assumed that trust ran deep with the sons of Ares, that they were of one mind. Here is a crack, a division. Matteo is Dancer's ally, but not a friend. Something in my dancing made him think twice. Then I realize it. He didn't see Mickey carve me. He is taking this all on faith, that I was once a red, and how difficult that must be. Something in my dancing made him think I was born to this. Something to do with that last dance, the one they call the Palamedes. I am Darrow, son of Dale, Lambda's helldiver of Lycos. I've never been anyone else, Matteo. He crosses his arms. If you are lying to me, I do not lie to low colors. Later that evening, I researched the dances I performed. Palamedes is Greek for child of war. It is the dance that reminded me so much of Uncle Nero's dances. It is the gold's dance of war, the one they teach young children to prepare them for the motions of martial warfare and the use of the razor. I watch a hollow of golds in battle, and my heart falls into my stomach. They fight like a summer song, not like the thunderous, monstrous obsidians, but like birds banking into a fresh wind. They fight in pairs, swerving, dancing, killing, ripping through a field of obsidian and gray, as though they were at play with scythes. And all the bodies that fell to them were like stalks of grain that sprayed blood instead of sallow chaff. Their golden armor shines, their razors flash. They are gods, not men. And I mean to destroy them. I sleep poorly in my bed of silk that night. Long after kissing Eo's himantthus blossom, I fall asleep and dream of my father, and what it would have been like to have known him into manhood, to have learned to dance from him, instead of from his drunken brother. I clutch the scarlet headband in my hand as I wait, holding it as dearly as I clutch my wedding band, all those things that remind me of home. Yet they are not enough. I am afraid. Dancer finds me at my morning breakfast. You'll be happy to know our hackers have spent 2 weeks hacking into the Board of Quality Control's cloud to change Chaos Andromedos's name to Darrow Andromedos. Good. That's all you have to say. Do you know how much? Never mind. He shakes his head and gives a chuckle. Darrow. It's so off-color. There will be raised eyebrows. I shrug to conceal my fear. So I'll butcher their gory damn test, and they'll care less than a lick. Spoken like a gold. The next day, Matteo takes me by ship to the stables of Ishtar, not far from Yorkton. It's a place by the sea where green fields stretch over rolling hills. I've never been in so wide a place. I've never seen the land curve away from me. Never seen a true horizon or animals so terrifying as the beasts Matteo arranged for our lesson. They stomp and stamp and snort, flicking their tails and baring their monstrous yellow teeth. Horses. I've always been scared of horses, despite Eeyore's story of Andromeda. They're monsters, I whisper to Matteo. Nevertheless, he whispers back. It is the gentleman's way. You must ride well lest you find yourself embarrassed in some formal situation. I look at the other girls riding past. There are only 3 at the stables today, each accompanied by a servant, like Matteo, pinks and browns. A situation like this one? I hiss at him. Fine, fine. I point to a massive black stallion with hooves that paw the ground. "I'll take that beast." Mateo smiles. "This one is more your speed." Mateo gives me a pony. A big pony, but a pony. There's no social interaction here. The other riders trot past and tip their heads to say good day. But that is all. Though their smiles are enough for me to know how ridiculous I look, I do not take to riding well, and I take to it even more poorly when my pony bolts as Mateo and I navigate a path into a copse of trees. Out the other side of the copse, I jump off the creature and land deftly in the grass. Someone laughs in the distance, a girl with long hair. She rides the stallion I pointed to earlier. "Maybe you ought to stick to the city, Pixie," she shouts at me, then kicks her horse away. I rise from my knee and watch her ride into the distance. Her hair spills out behind her, more golden than the setting sun. Chapter 15. The Testing. My test comes after 2 months of training my mind with Dancer. I do not memorize. I do not even really learn with him. Instead, his training is designed to help my mind adapt to paradigm shifts. For instance, if a fish has 3,453 scales on its left side and 3,453 on its right side, which side of the fish has the most scales? The outside. They call it extrapolational thinking. It was how I knew I should eat the side card when I first met Dancer. I'm very good at it. I find it ironic that Dancer and his friends can create a fake history for me, a fake family, a fake life, but they cannot fake my admittance test. So 3 months after my training begins, I take the test in a bright room next to a noisy mouse of a gold-brow girl who incessantly taps her stylus on a jade bracelet. She may be part of the test for all I know. When she's not looking, I snatch the stylus from her fingers and hide it down my sleeve. I am a helldiver of Lycos. So yes, I can steal a stupid girl's stylus without her knowing anything about it. She gawks around as if magic has been done. Then she begins to whine. They don't give her another stylus, so she runs out in tears. Afterward, the penny proctor looks at his datapad and rewinds a video from a nano camera. He looks at me and smiles. Such traits are apparently admirable. A golden razor blade of a girl disagrees and sneers, "Cut her," in my ear as she slices past me in the hall outside. Mateo told me not to speak to anyone because I am not yet ready to socialize, so I barely bite back a very red reply. Her words linger. Cutter. Cutthroat. Machiavellian. Ruthless. They all describe what she thinks of me. Funny thing is, most girls would see the term as an accolade. A musical voice addresses me. I think she actually just paid you a compliment, so don't mind her. She is pretty as a peach, but she's all rotten inside. I took a bite once, if you catch my flow. Tasty, then putrid. Fantastic grab in there by the by. I was about to rip that ninny's eyes from her skull myself. Damnable tapping. The shining voice comes from a young man torn from Greek verse. Arrogance and beauty drip off him. Impeccable breeding. I've never seen a smile so wide and white, skin so smooth and lustrous. He's all I despise. He claps me on the shoulder and grasps my hand in one of the several ways of semi-formal introduction. I squeeze slightly. He has a firm grip, too, but when he tries to establish dominance, I squeeze his hand till he jerks it back, a flash of worry in his eyes. By God, your hand is like a vice. He chuckles. He calls himself Cassius very quickly, and I'm lucky he gives me little time to speak because his brow wrinkles when I do. My accent is still not perfect. Darrow, he repeats. Well, that's quite the off-color name. Ah. He looks at his datapad, pulling up my personal history. Well, you come from no one at all. A far planet hayseed. No wonder Antonia snared you away. But listen, I'll forgive you for it if you tell me how you fared on the test. Oh, you'll forgive me? His brows knit together. I'm trying to be kind here. We ballooners aren't reformers, but we know that good men can come from low origins. Work with me, mate. Well, because of the way he looks, I feel a need to provoke him. Well, I dare say I expected the test to be more difficult. I might have missed the one about the candle, but besides that. Cassius watches me with a forgiving grin. His lively eyes dance over my face, as I wonder if his mother coils his hair with golden irons in the morning. With hands like yours, you must be a terror with the razor, he says leadingly. I'm fair, I lie. Mateo won't let me touch the thing. Modesty. Were you raised by white cows, man? Never mind, I'm off to a jeer after the physical tests. Join me. I hear the carvers have done some splendid work with the new ladies at Temptation, and they just had grav floors installed at Tryst. We can float about without grav boots. What say you, man? Does that interest you? He taps one of his wings and winks. Plenty of peaches there, none of them rotten. Unfortunately, I cannot. Oh. He jumps, as if just remembering I'm a far planet hayseed. Don't worry about it, my good man. I'll pay and all that. I politely decline, but he's already moving on. He taps my datapad before he leaves. The hollow screen cast over the inside of my left arm flickers. The dimensions of his face and information about our conversation are left behind. The address for the clubs he spoke of, the encyclopedic reference for Agea, and his family's information. Cassius Au Bellona, it reads, son of Praetor Tiberius Au Bellona, Imperator of the Society's 6th Fleet, and perhaps the only man on Mars to rival Arch-Governor Augustus in power. Apparently families hate one another. Seems like they have a nasty habit of killing each other off. Baby pit vipers, indeed. I thought I would be frightened of these people. I thought they would be little godlings. But aside from Cassius and Antonia, many are unimpressive. There are only 70 in my testing room. Some look like Cassius, but not all are beautiful. Not all are tall and imperious, and very few strike me as men and women. For all their physical stature, they are children with exaggerated senses of self-worth. They don't know hardship. Babies, pixies and bronzies, mostly. They test my physical properties next. I sit naked in an armchair, in a white room as the copper testers of the quality control board watch me through nanocams. Hope you're getting a good look, I say. A brown worker comes in and applies a pinch to my nose. His eyes are blank. No fight in this one. No contempt for me. His skin is pallid, and his movements awkward and clumsy. I am instructed to hold my breath as long as my lungs will allow. 10 minutes. Afterward, the brown removes the clamp and leaves. Next, I am to take a breath and exhale. I do, and realize there is suddenly no oxygen in the chamber. When I start to tilt in my seat, the oxygen returns. They freeze the room and measure how long it takes for me to shiver uncontrollably. Then they heat it to see when my heart begins to struggle. They amplify the grav in the room till my heart can't push sufficient blood and oxygen to my brain. Then they see how much motion I can take till I vomit. I'm used to riding a 90-meter drill, so they have to give up. They measure the flow of oxygen to my muscles, the beats of my heart, the density and length of my muscle fibers, the tensile ratings of my bones. It's like a walk in the park after my hell with Harmony. They have me throw balls, then line me up against the wall and ask me to stop small balls that they shoot at me with a circular machine. My helldiver hands are faster than their machine, so they bring in a green techie to adjust the thing till it's shooting veritable rockets. Eventually, I'm hit with a ball in the forehead. I black out briefly. They measure that too. An eye, ear, nose, and mouth test later, and I'm done. I feel vaguely distant from myself after the test, like they measured my body and my brain, but not me. I've had no personal interactions except that one with Cassius. I stumble into the locker rooms, sore and confused. There's a couple others changing, so I take my clothes and move along to a more discreet section of the long rows of plastic lockers. Then I hear a strange whistling, a tune I know, one that echoes through my dreams, the one Io died to. I follow the sound and come upon a girl changing in the corner of the locker room. Her back is to me, muscles lean as she dons her shirt. I make a noise. She turns suddenly, and for an awkward moment, I stand there blushing. Girls are not supposed to care about nudity, but I can't help my reaction. She's beautiful, heart-shaped face, full lips, eyes that laugh at you. They laugh like they did as she rode away on the horse. It's the same girl who called me a pixie when I rode the pony. One of her eyebrows arches upward. I don't know what to say, so in a panic I turn and walk fast as I can out of the locker rooms. A gold wouldn't have done that. But as I sit with Matteo on the shuttle as it ferries us back home, I remember the girl's face. She blushed too. It is a short flight, not long enough. I watch Mars through the duroglass floor. Though the planet is terraformed, vegetation is sparse along our flight path. The planet's surface is streaked with ribbons of green in its valleys and around her equator. The vegetation looks like green scars that cut across her pocked surface. Water fills her impact craters, creating grand lakes, and the Borealis Basin, which stretches across the northern hemisphere, brims with fresh water and teems with bizarre marine life. Great plains, where dust devils gather cloaks of topsoil and tear through croplands. Storms and ice rule the poles, where the obsidians train and live. The weather there is said to be brutal and cold, though temperate climes are prevalent throughout much of Mars's surface now. There are 1,000 cities on Mars, each ruled by a governor, the arch-governor presiding over all. Each city is set in the center of 100 mining colonies. The governors manage these colonies with the individual mine magistrates, like Paginus, overseeing the day-to-day. With so many mines and so many cities, it was chance, I suppose, that brought the arch-governor to my home with his camera crew. Chance, and my position as a helldiver. They wanted to make an example out of me. I was an afterthought, and she would not have sung if the arch-governor had not been there. Life's ironies are not charming. What will the Institute be like if I get in? I asked Matteo as I peer out the window. Full of classes, I imagine. How should I know? Is there no intel? No. No, I ask. Well, some, I suppose, Matteo admits. 3 sorts of people graduate: the peerless scarred, the graduates, and the shamed. The peerless can ascend in society. The graduates can as well, but their prospects are relatively limited, and they still must earn their scars. And the shamed are sent to the distant hard colonies, like Pluto, to oversee the first years of terraforming. How does one become a peerless? I imagine there is some sort of ranking system, perhaps a competition, I don't know. But the guilds are a species built upon conquest. It would make sense if that were to be part of your competition. How vague, I sigh. You're as helpful as a legless dog sometimes. The game, Goodman, in girl society, is patronage. Your actions in the Institute will serve as an extended audition for that patronage. You need an apprenticeship. You need a powerful benefactor. He grins. So if you want to help our cause, you'll do as bloody damn well as you can. Imagine if you became an apprentice to a praetor. In 10 years' time, you could be a praetor yourself. You could have a fleet. Imagine what you could do with a fleet, my Goodman. Just imagine. Matteo never speaks about such flights of fancy, so the excitement in his eyes is contagious. It makes me imagine. Chapter 16, The Institute. My test results come when I am practicing my cultural recognition and accent modulation with Matteo in our high-rise penthouse. We have a view of the city, the setting sun behind. I'm midway through a clever retort about the Yorkton Supernova Faux War Sports Club when my datapad beeps with a priority message sent to my datapad stream. I almost spill my coffee. My datapad ad has been slaved by another, I say. It's the Board of Quality Control. Matteo shoots up from his chair. We have perhaps 4 minutes. He runs into the suite's library, where Harmony is reading on an ergo couch. She jumps up and is down and out of the suite in less than 3 breaths. I make sure that the hollow pictures of me with my fake family are arranged in my bedroom and throughout the penthouse. 4 hired servants, browns and a pink, go about domestic tasks in the penthouse. They wear the Pegasus livery of my fake family. One of the browns goes to the kitchen. The other, a pink woman, massages my shoulders. Matteo shines my shoes in my room. Of course, there are machines to do these things. But an Oread would never use a machine for something a person could do. There's no power in that. The towncraft appears like a distant dragonfly. It grows as it buzzes closer and hovers outside my penthouse window. Its boarding door slides open and a man in a copper suit gives a bow of formality. I let my datapad open the duroglass window and the man floats in. 3 whites are with him. Each has a white sigil upon their hands. Members of the Academians and a copper bureaucrat. Do I have the pleasure of addressing Bongdaro O. Andromedus, son of the recently deceased Linus O. Andromedus and Lexus O. Andromedus? You have the honor. The bureaucrat looks me up and down in a very deferential but impatient manner. I am Bondalus Sutankares of the Institute's Board of Quality Control. There are some questions we must beg to ask of you. We sit across from one another at my oak kitchen table. There they hook my finger to a machine, and one of the whites dons a pair of glasses that will analyze my pupils and other physiological reactions. They'll be able to tell if I'm lying. We will start with a control question to assess your normal reaction when telling truths. Are you of the family Andromedus? Yes. Are you of the Oread genus? Yes. I lie through my teeth, ruining their control questions. Did you cheat in your admissions test 2 months prior? No. Did you use nerve nucleic to stimulate high comprehension and analytical functions during the test itself? No. Did you use a network widget to aggregate or synthesize outside resources in real time? No. I sigh impatiently. There was a jammer in the room, ergo it would have been impossible. I'm glad you've done your research and are not wasting my time, Copper. His smile is bureaucratic. Did you have prior knowledge of the questions? No. I deem an angry response proper at this point. And what is this about? I'm not accustomed to being called a liar by someone of your ilk. It is procedure with all elite scorers, Lord Oread. I beg your understanding. The bureaucrat drones. Any upward outlier far removed from the standard deviation is subject to inquiry. Did you slave your widget to that of another individual during the test?
No.
As I said, there was a jammer. Thank you for keeping up, Pennyhead. They take a sample of my blood and scan my brain. The results are instantaneous, but the bureaucrat will not share them. Protocol, he reminds me. You will have your results in 2 weeks. We receive them in 4. I passed the quality control examination. I did not cheat. Then comes my exam score, 2 months after I took the damn thing, and I realize why they thought I did cheat. I missed one question. Just one. Out of hundreds. When I shared the results with Dancer, Harmony, and Mateo, they simply stare at me. Dancer falls into a chair and begins to laugh. It's an hysterical sort. Bloody hell, he swears. We've done it. He did it. Mateo corrects. It takes Dancer a minute before he has wits enough to fetch a bottle of champagne, but I still feel his eyes watching me as though I am something different, something strange. It's like they suddenly don't understand what it is they've created. I touch the hibiscus blossom in my pocket and feel the wedding band around my neck. They didn't create me. She did. It's when a valet arrives to escort me to the institute that I say my goodbyes to Dancer inside the penthouse. He holds tight to my hand as we shake and gives me the look my father gave me before he was hanged. It's one of reassurance, but behind that is worry and doubt. Did he prepare me for the world? Did he do his duty? My father was 25 when he looked at me like that. Dancer is 41. It makes no difference. I chuckle. Uncle Neral never gave me such a look. Not even when he let me cut EO down. Probably because he'd taken enough of my right hooks to know the answer. But if I think about my teachers, my fathers, Uncle Neral shaped me the most. He taught me to dance. He taught me how to be a man, perhaps because he knew this would be my future. And though he tried to stop me from being a helldiver, it was his lessons that kept me alive. I've learned new lessons now. Let's hope they do the trick. Dancer gives me the knife ring he used to slice my finger months before. He's reshaped it to look like an L. They'll think it the chevron the Spartans bore on their shields, he says. L for Lacedaemonia. But it is for Lycos, for Lambda. Harmony surprises me by taking my right hand, kissing where once my red sigil was emblazoned. She's got tears in one eye, the cold, unscarred eye. The other cannot cry.
Evie will be coming to live with us,
she tells me. She smiles before I can ask why. It looks strange on her face.
You think you're the only one who notices things. We'll give her a better life than Mickey would.
Mateo and I share a smile and a bow. We exchange proper honorifics as he extends his hand. It doesn't grasp mine. Instead, it snatches the flower from my pocket. I reach after it, but he's still the only man I've ever met who is faster than me. You cannot take this with you, Goodman. The wedding band on your hand is queer enough. The flower is too much. Give me a petal, then, I say. I thought you would ask for that. He pulls out a necklace. It is the sigil of Andromeda's. My sigil, I remember. It is iron. He drops it in my hand. Whisper her name. I do, and the Pegasus unfurls like a hibiscus bud. He sets a petal in the center. It closes again. This is your heart. Guard it with iron. Thank you, Mateo, I say, tears in my eyes. I pick him up and hug him despite his protests. If I live more than a week, I'll have you to thank, my Goodman. He blushes when I set him down. Manage your temper, he reminds me, his small voice darkening. Manners, manners, then burn the bloody damn house to the ground. I clutch the Pegasus in my hand as the shuttle crosses over the Martian countryside. Fingers of green stretch over the earth I've lived to dig. I wonder who the hell diver of Lambda is now. Lauren is too young. Barlow is too old. Kieran, he's too responsible. He's got children to love. And he's seen enough of our family die. There's no fire in his belly. Leanna's got enough. But women aren't allowed to dig. It's probably Diane, Eo's brother. Wild, but not bright. The typical hell diver. He'll die fast. The thought makes me nauseous. It's not just the thought. I'm nervous. I realize it slowly as I look around the shuttle's interior. 6 other youths sit quietly. One, a slender boy with an open gaze and pretty smile, catches my eye. He's the sort who still laughs at butterflies. "Julian," he declares properly, and takes my forearm. We have no data to offer each other through our data pads. They took them when we boarded the shuttle, so instead I offer him the seat across from me. Taro. A very interesting name. "Have you ever been to Agi?" I ask Julian. "Course," he says, smiling. He always smiles. "What? You mean you haven't? It's strange. I thought I knew so many golds, but hardly any of them managed to get past the entrance exams. It's a brave new world of faces, I fear. Anyway, I envy you the fact you haven't been to Agi. It's a strange place. Beautiful, no doubt, but life there is fast and cheap, so they say." "But not for us," he chuckles. "I suppose not. Not unless you play at politics." I don't much like playing. I notice his reaction, so I laugh my seriousness off with a wink. "Not unless there's a wager, man. You hear?" I hear. "What's your game? Blood chess? Grav cross?" "Oh, blood chess is all right. But faux war takes the prize," I say with a golden grin. "Especially if you're a Nortown fan," he agrees. "Oh, Nortown, I don't know if we'll get along," I say, wincing. I jab myself with a thumb. "Yorkton. Yorkton? I don't know if we'll ever get along," he laughs. And though I smile, he doesn't know how cold I am inside. The conversation, the jibes, the smiles are all a pattern of sociality. Mateo's done me well, but to Julian's credit, he doesn't seem a monster. He should be a monster. My brother must already have arrived at the Institute. He was already in Agi at our family's estate, causing trouble, no doubt. Julian shakes his head proudly. "Best man I know. He'll be the primus, just you watch. Our father's pride and joy. And that's saying something, with how many family members I have." Not a flicker of jealousy in his voice, just love. "Primus?" I ask. "Oh, Institute talk. It means leader of his house." The houses. I know these. There are 12, loosely based on underlying personality traits. Each is named for one of the gods of the Roman pantheon. The schoolhouses are networking tools and social clubs outside of school. Do well, and they'll find you a powerful family to serve. The families are the true powers in the society. They have their own armies and fleets, and contribute to the sovereign's forces. Loyalty begins with them. There is little love for the denizens of one's own planet. If anything, they are the competition. "You sobs done beating each other off yet?" An impish kid sneers from the corner of the shuttle. He's so drab, he has khaki instead of gold. His lips are thin, and his face like a cruel hawk, just as it spies a mouse, a bronzy. "Are we bothering you?" My sarcasm has a polite nip. "Does 2 dogs humping bother me?" Likely yes, if they're noisy. Julian stands. "Apologize, cur." Go slag yourself, the small kid says. And half a second, Julian has drawn a white glove from nowhere. That to wipe my ass, you golden pricklick? What? You little heathen? Julian says in shock. Who raised you? Wolves, after your mother's cooch spat me out. You beast! Julian throws the glove at the small kid. I'm watching, thinking this is the height of comedy. The kid seems pulled straight from the Lycos crop. Beta, maybe. He's like an ugly, tiny, irritable Lauren. Julian doesn't know what to do, so he makes a challenge. A challenge, good man? A duel? You're that offended. The ugly kid snorts at the princeling. Fine. I'll stitch your family pride together after the passage, pricklick. He blows his nose into the glove. Why not now, coward? Julian calls. His slender chest is puffed out, just as his father must have taught him. No one insults his family. Are you stupid? Do you see razors about, idiot? Go away. We'll duel after the passage. Passage? Julian finally asks what I'm thinking. The scrawny kid grins wickedly. Even his teeth are khaki. It's the last test, idiot. And the best secret this side of the rings around Octavio Lune's cooch. Then how do you know about it? I ask. Inside track, the kid says. And I don't know about it. I know of it, you giant pisshead. His name is Severo, and I like his angle. But the talk of a passage worries me. There's so little I know, I realize, as I listen in as Julian strikes up a conversation with the last member of our shuttle. They talk about their test scores. There's a severe disparity between their low scores and mine. I notice Severo snort as they say theirs aloud. How did applicants with such low scores get in? I've got an ill feeling in my gut. And what did Severo score? We come to the Valles Marineris in darkness. It is a great scar of light across Mars's black surface, going as far as eyes can see. At the center of it, the capital city of my planet rises in the night like a garden of jewel swords. Nightclubs flicker on rooftops, dance floors made of condensed air. Scantily dressed girls and foolish boys rise and fall as grav mixers play with physics. Noise bubbles separate city blocks. We cut through them and hear worlds of different sounds. The Institute is beyond Ege's night districts and is built into the side of the 8-kilometer-high walls of the Valles Marineris. The walls rise like tidal waves of green stone, cradling civilization with flora. The Institute itself is made of white stone, a place of columns and sculpture, Roman to its core. I have not been here before, but I have seen the columns, seen the destination of our voyage. Bitterness wells in me like bile rising from stomach to throat as I think of his face, think of his words, his eyes as they scanned the crowd. I watched on the HC as the Arch-Governor gave his speech time and again to the classes before my own. Soon, I'll hear it from his lips myself. Soon, I'll suffer the rage, feel the fire lick over my heart as I see him in person once again. We land on a drop pod and are shepherded into an open-air marble square, looking over the vast valley. The night air is crisp, Ege sprawls behind, and the gates of the Institute stretch before us. I stand with over 1,000 gold brows, all glancing about with the cocksureness of their race. Many clumped together, friends from beyond the white walls of the school. I did not think their classes so large. A tall, golden man, flanked by obsidians and a coterie of gold advisors, rises on a pair of grav boots before the gate. My heart goes cold as I recognize his face and hear his voice and see the glimmer in his ingot eyes. Welcome, children of Oriad, Arch-Governor Nero Augustus says, in a voice as smooth as Io skin. It is preternaturally loud. I assume you understand the gravity of your presence here. Of the 1,000 cities of Mars, of all the great families, you are the chosen few. You are the peak of the human pyramid. Today, you will begin your campaign to join the best caste of our race. Your fellows stand like you in the institutes of Venus, of the eastern and western hemispheres of Earth, of Luna, of the gas giant moons, of Europa, of the Astrodian Greek cluster and the Astrodian Trojan cluster, of Mercury, of Callisto, of the joint venture Enceladus and Ceres, and of the far pioneers of Hildis. It seems only a day ago that I knew I was a pioneer of Mars, only a day ago that I suffered so that humanity, desperate to leave a dying Earth, could spread to the red planet. Oh, how well my rulers lied. Behind Augustus, in the stars, there is movement, but it is not the stars that move, nor is it asteroids or comets. It is the 6th and 5th fleets, the armada of Mars. My breath catches in my chest. The 6th fleet is commanded by Cassius's father, while the smaller 5th fleet is under the Arch-Governor's direct control. Most of the ships are owned by families who owe allegiance to either Augustus or Bellona. Augustus shows us why they rule. My flesh tingles. I am so small. 1 billion tons of durosteel and nanometal move through the heavens, and I have never been beyond Mars' atmosphere. They are like specks of silver in an ocean of ink, and I am so much less. But those specks could ravage Mars. They could destroy a moon. Those specks rule the ink. An imperator commands each fleet. A praetor commands squadrons within that fleet. What I could do with that power. Augustus is haughty as he gives the speech. I swallow the bile in my throat. Because of the impossible distance of my enemies, my anger was once a cold, quiet sort. Now, it burns in me. Society has 3 stages: savagery, ascendance, decadence. The great rise because of savagery. They rule in ascendance. They fall because of their own decadence. He tells us how the Persians were felled, how the Romans collapsed because their rulers forgot how their parents gained them an empire. He prattles about Muslim dynasties and European effeminacy and Chinese regionalism and American self-loathing and self-neutering. All the ancient names. Our savagery began when our capital, Luna, rebelled against the tyranny of Earth and freed herself from the shackles of democracy, from the noble lie, the idea that men are brothers and are created equal. Augustus weaves lies of his own with that golden tongue of his. He tells of the Golden's suffering. The masses sat on the wagon and expected the great to pull. He reminds. They sat whipping the great until we could no longer take it. I remember a different whipping. Men are not created equal. We all know this. There are averages. There are outliers. There are the ugly. There are the beautiful. This would not be if we were all equal. A red can no more command a starship than a green can serve as a doctor. There's more laughter across the square as he tells us to look at pathetic Athens, the birthplace of the cancer they call democracy. Look how it felt to Sparta. The noble lie made Athens weak. It made their citizens turn on their best general, Alcibiades, because of jealousy. Even the nations of Earth grew jealous of one another. The United States of America exacted this idea of equality through force. And when the nations united, the Americans were surprised to find that they were disliked. The masses are jealous. How wonderful a dream it would be if all men were created equal. But we are not. It is against the noble lie that we fight. But as I said before, as I say to you now, there is another evil against which we war. It is a more pernicious evil. It is a subversive, slow evil. It is not a wildfire. It is a cancer, and that cancer is decadence. Our society has passed from savagery to ascendance. But like our spiritual ancestors, the Romans, we too can fall into decadence. He speaks of the pixies. You are the best of humanity, but you have been coddled. You have been treated like children. Were you born to a different color, you would have calluses, you would have scars, you would know pain. He smiles as if he knows pain. I hate this man. You think you know pain. You think the society is an inevitable force of history. You think her the end of history. But many have thought that before. Many ruling classes have believed theirs to be the last, the pinnacle. They grew soft, fat. They forgot that calluses, wounds, scars, hardship preserve all those fine pleasure clubs you young boys love to frequent, and all those fine silks, and diamonds and unicorns you girls ask for on birthdays. Many Oreads have not sacrificed. That is why they do not wear this. He shows a long scar on his right cheek. Octavia, Luna, has the same scar. The scar of a peer. We are not the masters of the solar system because we are born. We are the masters because we, the peerless scarred, the iron goals, made it that way. He touches the scar on his cheek. I'd give him another if I were closer. The children around me suck down this man's garbage like oxygen. Right now, the colors who mine this planet are harder than you. They are born with calluses, born with scars and hatred. They are tough as nanosteel. Fortunately, they are also very stupid. For instance, this Persephone, you have no doubt heard of, is nothing more than a dim girl who thought singing a song was worth a hanging. I bite a bloody hole in my cheek. My skin shivers from rage as I find out that my wife is part of this bastard's speech. The girl did not even know the video would be leaked, yet it is her willingness to suffer hardship that gave her power. Martyrs, you see, are like bees. Their only power comes in death. How many of you would sacrifice yourself to not kill, but merely hurt your enemy? Not one of you, I wager. I taste the blood in my mouth. I have the knife ring Dancer gave me, but I breathe the fury down. I am no martyr. I am not vengeance. I am Eo's dream. Still doing nothing while her murderer gloats feels like a betrayal. In time, you will receive your scars from my sword. Augustus closes. But first, you must earn them. Chapter 17, The Draft. Son of Linus and Lexis Andromedus, both of the House Apollo. Would you prefer to mark yourself as requesting House Apollo preferentiality? A tedious Oread administrator asks me. Goldbrow's first loyalty is to color, then family, then planet, then house. Most houses are dominated by one or two powerful families. On Mars, the family Augustus, the family Bologna, and the family Arcos influence all others. No, I reply. He shuffles over his data pad. Very well. How do you believe you performed on the Slang Smarts test? That is the extrapolational test. He clarifies. I think my results speak for themselves. You are not paying attention, Darrow. I shall mark that against you. I'm asking for you to speak for your results. I think I took a gory piss on your test, sir. Ah. He smiles. Well, you did. You did. House Minerva for brains might be right for you. Perhaps Pluto for the deviousness, Apollo for the pride. Yes. Well, I have a test for you. Please complete it to the best of your ability. Interviews will commence when you have finished. The test is quick, and it is in the form of an immersion game. There's a goblet on a hill that I need to acquire. Many obstacles stand in my way. I pass them as rationally as possible, trying to hide my anger when a little elf steals a key I acquire. But every step of the way, there's some damn setback, some inconvenience, and it's always unforeseen. It's always something beyond the bounds of extrapolation. In the end, I reach the goblet, but only after killing an annoying wizard and cruelly enslaving the race of elves by means of said wizard's magic wand. I could have left the elves be, but they annoyed me. Soon, the interviewers come in intervals. I learn they're called proctors. Each one of them is a peerless guard. They're chosen by the arch-governor to teach and represent the students of the house within the institute. All said, the proctors are impressive. There's a huge, scarred man with hair like a lion and a lightning bolt on his collar for Jupiter, a matronly woman with gentle golden eyes, and a quick-witted man with winged feet on his collar. He can't sit still, and his baby face seems immensely fascinated by my hands. He makes me play a game with him, in which he puts out both hands flat and facing up, and I put mine atop, facing down. He tries slapping my hands, but never quite manages. He leaves after clapping his hands together in joy. Another strange encounter comes when a beautiful man with coiled hair interviews me. A bow marks his collar, Apollo. He asks me how attractive I believe myself to be and is displeased when I undershoot his estimate. Still, I think he likes me because he asks me what I would like to be one day. An imperator of a fleet, I say. You could do great things with a fleet, but a lofty notion, he sighs, accenting every word with a feline purr. Perhaps too lofty for your family. Maybe if you had a benefactor of better familial origin, yes, maybe then. He looks at his data pad. But unlikely due to your birth. Best of luck. I sit alone for an hour or more till a sullen man comes to join me. His unfortunate face is pinched like a hatchet, but he has the scar and a razor hilt hangs on his hip. His name is Fitchner. A wad of gum fills his mouth. The uniform he wears is black with gold, and it nearly conceals the slight belly paunch that sticks outward, despite the faint smell of metabolizers. Like many of the others, he wears badges about his personage. A golden wolf with 2 heads decorates his collar, and a strange hand marks his cuff. They gave me the mad dogs, he says. They gave me the killers of our race, the ones full of piss and napalm and vinegar. He sniffs the air. You smell full of shit. I say nothing. He leans against the door and frowns as though it offended him in some way, then back to me, sniffing improperly. Problem is, we of House Mars always burn out. Kids rule the Institute at first, then they find out that napalm lasts about. He snaps his fingers. I have no reply. He sighs and plops down in a chair. After a while of watching me, he stands and punches me in the face. If you punch me back, you will be sent home, Pixie. I kick him in the shin. He limps away, laughing like a drunk Uncle Nero. I'm not sent home. Instead, I find myself escorted with 100 others into a large room with float chairs and a large wall dominated by ivory gridwork. The gridwork forms a checkerboard square on the wall, 10 rows high, 10 rows across. I'm taken on a lift to the middle row, some 50 feet off the ground. 99 other students are ushered in till each box is filled. This is the prime crop, the best of the students. I look out from my box, peering up above me. A girl's feet dangle out of the box above my head. Numbers and letters appear in front of my box, my statistics. Supposedly, I'm very rash and have upper outlier characteristics in intuition and loyalty, and most noticeably, rage. There are 12 groups in the audience. Each group sits close together in floats chairs around vertical golden standards. I see an archer, a lightning bolt, an owl, a wolf with 2 heads, an upside-down crown, and a trident, amongst others. One of the proctors accompanies each group. They alone do not have their faces covered. The others wear ceremonial masks, featureless and golden, and slightly like the animals of their houses. If only I had known this was gonna happen, I might have brought a nuke. These are the drafters, the men and women of highest prestige. Praetors and emperors and tribunes and adjudicators and governors sit there watching me, trying to choose the new students for their house, trying to find young men and women they can test and offer apprenticeships. With one bomb, I could have destroyed the best and the brightest of their golden rule. Maybe that's the rashness speaking. The draft begins when a titan of a Gen Alt boy is chosen first to the House of the Lightning Bolt, House Jupiter. Then go more girls and boys of unnatural beauty and physical prowess. I can only guess they are geniuses as well. The 5th pick comes. The baby-faced interviewer with the winged feet floats up to me on golden boots. Several of the drafters of House Mercury float along with him. They speak quietly amongst themselves before asking me questions. Who are your parents? What are their family's accomplishments? I tell them about my modest, false family. One of them seems to think highly of a relative of mine who has long since passed away. But despite the proctor's objections, they pass me over for another student from a family with the ownership of 90 mines and a stake in one of Mars's southern continents. The Mercury proctor curses and shoots me a quick smile. "Hope you're available next round," he says. Next goes a delicate girl with a mocking smile. I can barely pay attention, and at times it is difficult to see who else is being selected. We're arrayed in an odd way. With the 10th pick, the proctor who struck me in the interviews floats my way. There is disagreement among the drafters. I have 2 ardent advocates. One is as tall as Augustus, but her hair flows down to her spine in 3 golden braids. The second is broader, not very tall. He's old. You can tell by the scars and wrinkles on his thick hands, hands that bear the signet ring of an Olympic knight. I know him immediately, even without seeing his face. Lorne Auarchos, the Rage Knight, the 3rd greatest man on Mars who chose to serve the Society by safeguarding the Society's compact instead of reaching for crowns in politics. When he points to me, Fichtner grins. I am chosen 10th out of 1,000. Chapter 18, Classmates. I feel a sinking in my stomach as I walk with the chattering mass into the dining hall. It is overgrand. White marble floors, columns, a hollow sky displaying birds in flight at sunset. The institute is not what I expected. According to Augustus, the classes are to be hard on these little godlings. I snort down a laugh. Let the lot of them spend a year in a mine. There are 12 tables, each with 100 place settings. Our names float above the chairs in golden letters. Mine floats to the right of a table's head. It is a place of distinction, the first draft. A single bar floats to the right of my name. A -1 is to the left. The first to get 5 bars becomes primus of his house. Each bar is bounty for an act of merit. Apparently my high score on the test was the first bit of merit. Wonderful. A cutter in the lead for primus. A familiar voice says, "The girl from the exam." I read her name, Antonia Auseverus. She has cruel good looks, high cheekbones, a smirking smile, scorn in her eyes. Her hair is long, full, and golden as Midas's touch. She was born to be hated and to hate. A -5 floats beside her name. It is the second closest score to mine at the table. Cassius, the boy I met at testing, sits diagonally across from me. A -6 shimmers by his broad smile. He runs a hand back through his curls. Another boy sits directly across from me. -1 and a golden bar float by his name. While Cassius lounges, this other boy, Priam, sits as straight as a blade. His face is celestial, his eyes alert, his hair coiffed. He's tall as me, but broad in the shoulders. I don't think I've ever seen a more perfect human being. A bloody damn statue. He wasn't in the draft, I discover. He is what they call a premier. They cannot be drafted. His parents chose his house. Then I discover why. His scandalous mother, a banner woman of the House Bellona, owns our planet's 2 moons. Fate brings us together again. Cassius chuckles to me. And Antonia, my love, it seems our fathers conspired to place us side by side. Antonia replies with a sneer. Remind me to beam him a thank you. Tony, no need for nastiness. He wags a finger. Now toss me a smile, like a good doll. She flips him the crux with her fingers. Rather toss you out a window, Cassie. Rah! Cassius blows her a kiss. She ignores it. So, Priam, I suppose you and I will have to play gentle with these fools, hey? Oh, they look like swell sorts to me, Priam replies primly. I fancy we'll do very well as a group. They talk in high lingo. If the dregs of the draft don't weigh us down, my good man. He gestures to the end of the table and starts naming them. Screwface, for obvious reasons. Clown, because of that ridiculous puffy hair. Weed, because, well, he's thin. Oi, you. You're Thistle, because your nose looks hooked as one. And that itty-bitty one right there, next to the bronzy-looking fellow, that's Little Pebble. I think they will rather surprise you, Priam says in defense of the far end of the table. They may not be as tall, or as athletic, or even as intelligent as you or me, if intelligence really can be measured by that test. But I do not think it charity to say that they will be the spine of our group. Salt of the earth, if you will. Good sorts. I see the small kid from the shuttle, Severo, at the very foot of the table. The salt of the earth is not making friends, and neither am I. Cassius glances my -1. I see him concede that Priam might have scored better than he, but Cassius makes a point in saying he's never heard of my parents. So, dear Darrow, how did you cheat? He asks. Antonia glances over from her conversation with Arya, a small girl made of curling hair and dimples. Oh, come now, man. I laugh. They sent quality control after me. How could I have cheated? Impossible. Did you cheat? Your score is high. I speak the mid-lingo. It's more comfortable than the high-lingo fart dust Priam jabbers on in. Me? Cheat? No, just didn't try enough, apparently. Cassius replies. If I had my wits, I'd have spent less time with the girls and more on studying, like you. He's trying to tell me, if he tried, he could have done just as well. But he's too busy to put in as much effort. If I wanted him as a friend, I'd let him get away with it. You studied? I ask. I feel a sudden urge to embarrass him. I didn't study at all. A chill goes through the air. I shouldn't have said it. My stomach plummets. Manners? Cassius's face sours, and Antonia smirks. I've insulted him. Priam frowns. If I want a career in the fleet, then I will likely need Cassius Obolonos's father's patronage, son of an emperador. Matteo drilled this into me. How easy it is to forget. The fleet is where the power is. Fleet or government or army. And I don't like government. Not to mention that this sort of insult is how duels begin. Fear trickles down my spine as I realize how thin a line there is to tread. Cassius knows how to duel. I, for all my new skills, do not. He would rip me to pieces, and he looks like he wants to do just that. I joke. I tilt my head to Cassius. Come on, man. How could I score so high and not have studied till my eyes were bleeding? Wish I'd spent more time fooling off like you. We're in the same spot now, after all. Fat lot that studying did for me. Priam nods his approval at the peace offering. I bet it was a slog, Cassius crows, tipping his head to acknowledge my peculiar breed of apology. I expected the play to go over his head, thought his pride would blind him to my sudden apology. The gold may be proud, but he isn't stupid. None of them are. Have to remember that. After that, I do Matteo proud. I flirt with a girl he named Quinn, befriend and joke with Cassius and Priam, who has probably never sworn in his life. Throw my hand out to a tall brute named Titus, whose neck is as thick as my thigh. He squeezes too hard on purpose. He's surprised when I nearly break his hand, but damn, is his grip strong. The boy is even taller than Cassius and I, and he's got a voice like a titan. But he grins when he realizes that my grip, if nothing else, is stronger than his. Something strange about his voice, though. Something decidedly disdainful. There's also a feather of a boy named Roke, who looks and speaks like a poet. His smiles are slow, few, but genuine. Rare. Cassius, Julian calls. Cassius stands and throws an arm around his thinner, prettier twin. I didn't piece it together before, but they are brothers, twins, not identical. Julian did say his brother was already in Aegea. Darrow here is not what he seems, Julian tells the table with a very grave face. He has a knack for theatrics. You don't mean... Cassius puts a hand to his mouth. My finger grazes my steak knife. Yes. Julian nods solemnly. No. Cassius shakes his head. He's not a Yorkton supporter. Julian, tell me it isn't so. Darrow. How could you be? They never win a game. Priam, are you hearing this? I throw my hands up in apology. A curse of birth, I suppose. I am a product of my upbringing. I cheer for the underdog. I manage not to sneer the words. He confessed it to me on the shuttle. Julian is proud to know me. Proud his brother knows he knows me. He looks for Cassius's approval. Cassius isn't oblivious to this either. He gently doles out a compliment, and Julian leaves the high drafts and returns to his mid-draft seat, halfway down the table, with a content smile and squared shoulders. I didn't think Cassius would be the kind sort. Of those I meet, only Antonia openly dislikes me. She doesn't watch me like the others at the table. From her, I feel only a distant breed of contempt. One moment she is laughing, flirting with Roke, and then she feels my gaze and becomes ice. The feeling is mutual. My dormitory is from a dream. Gold trim lines a window that looks out into the valley. A bed is laden with silks and quilts and satins. I lie on it when a pink masseur comes in and stays for an hour, kneading my muscles. Later, 3 lithe pinks file through to tend to my needs. I send them to Cassius's room instead. To calm the temptation, I take a cold shower and immerse myself in a hollow experience of a digger in the mining colony, Corinth. The helldiver in the hollow experience is less talented than I was, but the rattling, the simulated heat, The darkness and the vipers, they comfort me so much that I wrap my old scarlet rag around my head. More food comes. Augustus was all talk, gobful of exaggerations. This is their version of hardship. I feel guilty as I fall asleep with a full stomach, clutching the locket with Eo's flower inside. My family will go to bed hungry tonight. I whisper her name. I take the wedding band from my pocket and kiss it, feel the ache. They stole her, but she let them. She left me. She left me tears and pain and longing. She left me to give me anger, and I cannot help but hate her for a moment, even though beyond that moment, there is only love. Eo, I whisper. And the locket closes. Chapter 19. The Passage. I vomit as I wake. A second fist strikes my full stomach, then a third. I'm empty and gasping for air, or drowning in my sick, coughing, hacking. I try to scramble away. A man's hand grabs me by the hair and throws me into the wall. God, he's bloody strong, and he's got extra fingers. I reach for my knife ring, but they've already dragged me into the hall. I've never been so manhandled. Even my new body can't recover from their strikes. There's 4 of them in black. Crows, the killers. They've discovered me. They know what I am. It's over. All over. Their faces are expressionless skulls, masks. I pull the knife I took from dinner from my waist, and I'm about to stab one of them in the groin. Then I see the flash of gold on their wrists, and they hit me till I drop the knife. It's a test. Their strikes against a higher color are sanctioned by the issuer of the bracelets. They haven't found me out at all. A test. That is what this is. It is a test. They could have used stunners. There's a purpose to the beating. It's something most golds have never experienced. So I wait. I curl up and let them beat me. When I don't resist, they think they've done their job. They sort of do. I'm ragged shit by the time they're satisfied. I'm dragged through the hallway by men nearly 3 meters tall. A bag is shoved over my head. They're staying away from technology to scare me. I wonder how many of these kids have felt physical force like this. How many have been so dehumanized? The bag smells like death and piss as they drag me along. I start laughing. It's like my bloody damn fry suit. Then a fist hits my chest, and I crumple, gasping. The hood also has a sound device installed. I'm not breathing hard, but my breaths come back louder than they should. There are over 1,000 students. Dozens at a time must suffer this same fate. Yet I hear nothing. They don't want me to hear the others. I'm supposed to think I'm alone, that my color means nothing. Surprisingly, I find myself offended that they dare strike me. Don't they know I'm a bloody damn gold? Then I snort back a laugh. Effective tricks. I'm lifted up and thrown hard onto a floor. I feel a vibration, the smell of exhaust. Soon, we're in the air. Something in the bag covering my head disorients me. I can't tell which direction we're flying, how high we've risen. The sound of my own raspy breath has become terrible. I think the bag also filters out oxygen because I'm hyperventilating. Still, it's not worse than a fry suit. Later, an hour, 2, we land. They drag me by my heels. My head bumps on stone, jarring me. It's not till much later that they take the bag off my head in a barren stone room lit by a single light. Another person is already here. The crows strip away my clothing, rip away the precious Pegasus pendant. They leave. Cold in here, Julian. I chuckle as I stand, unclenching my left hand from the dirty red Helldiver sweatband. My voice echoes. We're both naked. I fake a limp with my right leg. I know what this is. Darrow, is that you? Julian asks. Are you well? I'm Prime. They busted up my right leg, though. I lie. He stands too, pushing himself up with his left hand. That's his dominant one. He looks tall and feeble in the light, like bent hay. I caught more kicks and punches than him, though. Loads more. My ribs might be cracked. "What do you think this is?" he asks. "The passage, obviously." But they lied. They said it would be tomorrow. No. The thick wooden door squeals on rusted hinges, and Proctor Fitchner saunters in, popping a bubble gum. "Proctor? Sir, you lied to us," Julian protests. He pushes his pretty hair back out of his eyes. Fitchner's movement is sluggish, but his eyes are like a cat's. "Lying takes too much effort," he grunts idly. "Well, how dare you treat us like this?" Julian snaps. "You must know who my father is, and my mother is a legate. I can have you up on charges for assault in a moment's notice, and you hurt Darrow's leg." "It's 1:00 a.m., dipshit! It's tomorrow." Fitchner pops another bubble gum. "There are also 2 of you. Alas, only 1 spot is available in your class." He tosses a golden ring emblazoned with the Wolf of Mars and a star shield of the Institute onto the dirty stone ground. "I could make it ambiguous, but you look like rusty-headed lads. Only 1 comes out alive." He leaves the way he came. The door squeals and then slams shut. Julian flinches at the sound. I do not. We both stare at the ring, and I have a sick feeling in my gut that I'm the only one in the room who knows what just happened. "What do they think they're doing?" Julian asks me. "Do they expect us to kill each other?" I finish. Yes, that's what they expect. Despite the knot in my throat, I ball my fists, Eo's wedding band tight on my finger. "I intend to wear that ring, Julian. Will you let me have it?" I am bigger than he, not quite as tall, but that doesn't matter. He doesn't stand a chance. "I have to have it, Darrow," he murmurs. He looks up. "I am of the House of Bologna. I can't go home without it. Do you know who we are? You can go home without shame. I can't. I need it more than you." "We're not going home, Julian. 1 person comes out alive. You heard him." "They wouldn't do that," he tries. "No. Please, please, Darrow, just go home. You don't need it like I do." "You don't." Cassius, he would be so ashamed if I didn't make it. I wouldn't be able to look at him. Every member of my family is scarred. My father is an imperator. An imperator? If his son did not even make it through the passage, what would his soldiers think? "He would still love you. Mine would." Julian shakes his head. He takes a breath and stands tall. "I am Julian O'Bologna, of the House of Bologna. My Goodman. I don't want to do this. I can't explain how badly I don't want to hurt Julian. But when has what I wanted ever mattered? My people need this. Io sacrificed happiness and her life. I can sacrifice my wants. I can sacrifice this slender princeling. I can even sacrifice my soul." I make the first move toward Julian. "Darrow," he murmurs. Darrow was kind in Lycos. I am not. I hate myself for it. I think I'm crying because my vision is unclear. The rules and manners and morals of society are pulled away. All it takes is a stone room and 2 people needing the same scarce thing. Yet the shift isn't instantaneous. Even when I punch Julian in the face and his blood smears my knuckles, it doesn't seem a fight. The room is quiet, awkward. I feel rude punching him, like I'm acting. The stone is cold on my feet. My skin prickles. Breath echoes. They want me to kill him because he didn't do well on their tests. This is a mismatch. I am Darwin's scythe, nature scraping away the chaff. I don't know how to kill. I've never killed a man. I have no blade, no thumper, no scorcher. It seems impossible that I could make this boy of meat and muscle bleed dry just with my hands. I want to laugh, and Julian does. I am a naked child, slapping at another naked child in a cold room. His hesitancy is obvious. His feet move like he's trying to remember a dance, but when his elbows come to eye level, I panic. I don't know how he is fighting. He strikes half-heartedly at me in a foreign, artistic way. He's tentative, slow, but his timid fist that gets my nose. Rage overtakes me. My face goes numb, my heart thunders. It's in my throat, my veins prickle. I break his nose with a straight. God, my hands are strong. He wails and ducks into me, grappling my arm into an odd angle. It pops. I use my forehead. It takes him just at the bridge of his nose. I grab the back of his neck and hit him again with my forehead. He can't break away. I do it again. Something cracks. Blood and spit lather my hair. His teeth cut my scalp. I drop back like I'm dancing, reverse off my left foot, weave forward and hit him with all my weight behind my right fist in his chest. My helldiver knuckles shatter his reinforced sternum. There's a great wheezing gasp and a crackling noise like snapping twigs. He tips backward onto the ground. I'm dazed from striking him with my forehead, seeing red, seeing double. I stumble toward him. Tears stream down my cheeks. He's twitching. When I grab his golden hair, I find him already limp, like a wet golden feather. Blood pulses from his nose. He is quiet. He no longer moves, no longer smiles. I mutter my wife's name as I fall to cradle his head. His face has become like a blood blossom. Part 3. Gold. This is your sling blade, son. It'll scrape the earth's veins for you. It'll kill pit vipers. Keep it sharp. And if you get stuck in the drills, it'll save your life for the price of a limb. So said my uncle. Chapter 20. The House of Mars.